Hey everyone. Today I was going through my closet and I happened across an old notebook of mine. And let's see, this was from quite a few years ago. I was working at a charity organization and there was lots of downtime, so I'd just be sitting there doodling or writing stuff in my notebook. And it was right around that time when the Boom Power Ranger comics started. And I wrote down all these like ideas I had for like, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool if they did any of this stuff? And to date, I think maybe one or two of these things have kind of sort of happened. Uh, I'm not a big fan of the Boom comics. Like they're fine. They're fine. I can't really say I like most of them. Like I can look at them and say, "Yep, that's quality. That's good." It's not really what I want though from a Power Ranger comic. What I really wanted the most was like an anthology comic, like Star Wars Tales, where different artists, different writers tell multiple stories within each comic, spanning the Power Ranger universe, different series, different characters, lore, bringing stuff from video games and whatnot, like kind of like what the annuals almost are, except going far outside of Mighty Morphin, similar to there was the one annual where they had other series in there. They had Mighty Morphin as well as they had Mystic Force, and they had the Trial of Astronema, I think, was in that one. So something like that, but monthly, and we're still not getting it. We're getting let's see, um, the original Mighty Morphin comic and Go Go Power Rangers ended. We got a spinoff with Draken. We got the whatever other ones are Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers. Oh, and they're not even about the Rangers. They're about the new team, and then there's like a new Green Ranger. Zordon looks like a Saint Seiya character now. All right, sure. Like, go ahead, go crazy. I don't really care though. But anyway, I just thought I was like reading through this and I was remembering, oh man, all this cool stuff I had thought of that would have been really neat for comics. And I don't know, they might still do it in the future. And who knows, maybe somebody is watching this and being inspired to tell their own stories. So anyway, I just wanted to go over some of these. Now, the first one that I thought of was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers meets the Rangers because I just figured, like, yeah, Mighty Morphin is going to be the main thing. Like, no matter what, that's always the go-to default. That's the Power Rangers will use because that's what's that's what we think is most fresh in people's mind. It's what sells the most because that's mostly what they put out. So anyway, yeah. Uh, and there have been fan fictions like this, and I've read quite a few really good Mighty Morphin Power Ranger fan fictions, and just I was thinking about like the personalities clashing, the interactions between the Mighty Morphin Rangers and the Rangers would be so fascinating because Ranger is one of the first Sentais a lot of American fans and a lot of Sentai fans around the world first see because of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So yeah, I, and I was thinking like all the cool little like in jokes they could make, like when they morph Trini and Boy, like would they look the same? Would Trini look more feminine than Boy does, or would they look the same? And the other Rangers would find anything weird about that. Would they not mention it at all? What about Zordon and Barza? What about Alpha? Would Alpha wonder why he doesn't have a counterpart? All that. Oh, or like Bry. Would Bry be alive or dead? Would he be somewhere in between? Would it be in that weird part of the show where he was like in that other dimension? Anyway, yeah, there's so many possibilities for a comic. And the other thing, and now it's getting kind of deeper into it, but like in my mind, like I knew it was going to be a Mighty Morphin comic, so I was trying to think what's interesting things they could do with Mighty Morphin that would be interesting to me as a fan. And one of the things I thought of was origin of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie Rangers. Yeah, the 95 movie. Because that movie doesn't quite fit into continuity. Like, you could squeeze it in there, like the same way they fit the Dragon Ball Z movies into continuity. It's kind of similar to that, where they just took what's in the show, what's relevant right now, contemporary in the show, and then just make it bigger, make it a movie. And let's see. There were like a few clues. Like there was a toy line a while ago that of the movie Rangers that Bandai did, and they had like bios on the back, and for Tommy it gave a really detailed explanation of how he was the Green Ranger, and it's just a lot of fans I remember thinking that was really weird because in the movie it never specifies whether or not the Green Ranger powers ever even existed. It's never said too much about the power coins. They just seem to be kind of secondary, like just part of the uniform. So yeah, that's just something I thought would be interesting. Like, what more did the movie Rangers do? Oddly, a lot of fans don't really seem to care. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, next up is a team up between the Space Rangers and the Robot Rangers with a Phantom Ranger cameo. That's how I wrote it. Phantom Ranger cameo with a question mark. And that was something I always wanted to see was the Robot Rangers from Turbo and the Space Rangers teaming up, and it would be really easy because it'd just be the same actors for everyone except for Justin. And then the Phantom Ranger is just a suit with a voice. Actually, I'm really surprised. Why haven't they brought Phantom Ranger back? Or all these times they do a team up and they just have Rangers standing around in empty suits. Why not have Phantom Ranger there? All he is a voice. They wouldn't even have to bring back the original voice actor. Just find, or actually the, what was it, Making Bad show. They don't give a crap about what the voice quality is like. They'll do whatever. So yeah, it's really surprising Phantom Rangers never come back. I'm guessing the suit probably isn't available and they're not going to go out of their way to make a new one. Anyway, Space Rangers meet the Robot Rangers. I was trying to think, like, what kind of thing would they be doing? Like, what would require the presence of the Robot Rangers with the Space Rangers? Now, the Robot Rangers, I believe, went to Eltar with Zordon and Alpha 5 when they left at the beginning of... Yeah, when they left at the beginning of Turbo, then later they made the Robot Rangers, sent them to Earth, and then they went back to Eltar, and presumably were involved with the big fight that resulted in Zordon's capture at the end of Turbo. So anyway, my little like fanon idea was that the Robot Rangers are alive and well on Eltar, maybe with the help of Alpha. Oh, and maybe we could fit in Alpha 5 and explain how he turns into Alpha 7 or whatever that Alpha is. It's with Tommy on the Megaship Mark II and Forever Red, getting really deep into the lore, but hey, it's a comic book, you can do that. They've made it clear they're marketing to the hardcore fans like me, who know this stuff inside out. Just look at Soul of the Dragon. I didn't really like Soul of the Dragon, but I can't deny that there's a ton of detail in there that only super fans like me would get. Like, there's like little nuances and things like that maybe reference Boom. There's a bunch of SPD, really deep into SPD, Dino Thunder, Mighty Morphin, Wild Force, and all that. So yeah, anyway, next up is, let's see, a follow-up of events from the Great Bukala escape, showing Bukala's trip home. Probably not a lot of people, even the Mighty Morphin fans, won't care about this, because I'm like the only person in the world who really, really likes Bukala. And Great Bukala Escape is one of my favorite Mighty Morphin episodes, and I could gush about just that. I probably could go on for hours just about that episode and how much I love it and all the great things about it. But anyway, yeah, I don't think most fans would care anything about Bukala and where he comes from or anything. Oh well. Anyway, next up, a story about the alien rangers obtaining their powers from Ninjor. Now this is something that came from like a joke that me and my friends had, the friends I had who were into Power Rangers. We always wondered about the Alien Rangers. Why are they called alien? Why do they call themselves Alien Rangers? Because, like, to them, from their point of view, they're not aliens. But they got their powers from Ninjor. They say that. And Ninjor is on Earth. He's been on Earth for, I don't remember how long. I don't even know if they say. Anyway, so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if they had a story where the Alien Rangers come to Earth and they get the ninja powers from Ninjor. Now, from their point of view, their powers are alien. Because I imagine if an alien race came to Earth and saw ninjas, that would be a very alien concept to them. They're a very earthly concept, I would assume. Anyway, next up, the conclusion of the Image Zeo comic. Oh, now this is a good one. And also kind of relevant because in Boom's archive comics, the first Zeo issue is reprinted in there. And I remember reading some stuff from fans. They were wondering, like, was there any follow up? Was there a second comic made and never released? What about the writers? Are they still around? Do they have, like, sketches or whatever, a preview for what the second comic was going to be? And also because the Zeo Image comic was one of the few good Power Ranger comics from back in the day. The Hamilton Marvel comics, they're cheesy, fun 90s garbage. Like, even more so than the show was. But they weren't really what you'd call really good. The Zeo comic, though, was almost there to being really good. If this had become like a running series, similar to, like, I don't know, the Kiss Psycho Circus comics or something like that, sort of maybe, it would have probably gotten a lot bigger and built a fan base more, and we would have gotten more deeper. But it only lasted the one issue, and then gone. What next? A team up between the Wild Force Rangers and Ninja Storm Rangers. Okay, yeah, this is a big thing. Like, teams that never had team ups, but would really work. I would love to see interaction between the Ninja Storm and Wild Force Rangers because their series were so different. Wild Force was very stoic in tone, but also kind of, I don't really know what the word is, like a childish tone or a childlike tone, I think, is more what I'm thinking of. Whereas Ninja Storm had more of a teenage feel to it. It had like this quirky, like meta humor tone about it. And it would just be interesting to see how would those teams interact with each other. The villains, too, I'd wonder, like, let's see, Ninja Storm, I'm assuming, would take place after Wild Force, so there's no Master Org. Jindrax and Toxica are good guys. This would be an interesting thing to bring them back. And also, the last episode of Wild Force established that Zenaku is still alive and connected to Merrick, which a lot of fans didn't like or they didn't get. Why is Zenaku just there all of a sudden at the end? But hey, here's a chance to bring him back. I liked Zenaku a lot, so whatever. Anyway, what next? The unseen events from Clash of the Red Rangers. Oh, and yeah, because this was still fresh in my mind when I wrote this. Clash of the Red Rangers had, let's see, the Red RPM Ranger, Scott, go through a portal to the Samurai Rangers dimension, or well, he took a train. Go with it. Anyway, the Samurai Rangers get sucked through a portal, they're in the RPM universe, and then a little while later, they get sucked back, and one of the girls goes up to Scott and says, Scott, your team says hi. And that's all the reference we get to the rest of the RPM cast. And I just thought, wouldn't it be interesting to explore what were they doing in the other universe? Were there monsters there? Uh, Maybe they could explain why Corinth turns into that weird neon world from Super Mega Force. It's totally deserted. Well, they worked the unseen was it the Powers Never Before Seen Rangers in one of the comics? They fixed some of that, so they could probably fix why Corinth looks all neon and weird. Let's see, what do we got next? A team up of Rangers of unearthly origins, like Alien Rangers, Trey, Phantom Ranger, Andros, Zane, Maya, Crone, Trip, Doggy Cat, Tyzon, Orion, ... Okay, yeah, this would actually be kind of a cool thing. Bring together a whole bunch of Alien Rangers. Like, have something not set on Earth. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Have some threat out in deep space. The Earth Rangers aren't available, so they gotta just... They get the Alien Rangers. They get Doggy. Oh, and that's something. I remember back in Super Mega Force, I kept thinking the Gokaiger episode with the Japanese Doggy, they wouldn't need to cut him out. They could keep him, and the way around this is say it's Doggy's father, or it's a relative of Doggy, or it's a member of his race, and he makes some reference to the other aliens coming to Earth, similar to Piggy and Mystic Force. In 20 years, this place will be crawling with aliens, or whatever that was he said. Anyway, yeah, just a bunch of the aliens all together. That would be so cool and so appealing to fans like me who are so into the lore of it all. Anyway, next up, various Rangers meeting characters of other Saban franchises like the VR Troopers, Masked Rider, Beetleborgs, Ninja Turtles Next Mutation, Mystic Knights, Los Luchadores. Now, this has kind of sort of happened. We just had the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Meet the Ninja Turtles comic, which was It was okay. I kind of view it the same way I view the rest of the Boom comics. It's just okay. That's a thing that exists. Like it didn't wow me. It didn't turn me off. It didn't like make me think, well, the comics suck now. No, it was fine. It's just didn't really do anything. And there was no reference to Next Mutation or the team up they had within space. That surprised me. Anyway, let's see. Oh, King Lexion from Masked Rider, he does show up in one of the comics as like a friend of Zordon. Zordon goes to him for advice on something. So we're almost there. I'm really surprised the VR Troopers haven't made it into the Boom comics. I don't know why, but something about VR Troopers just feels like I don't know, they'd be able to do them really well. So anyway, next up, what do we got? Toy exclusive characters appearing like just in the comic, I guess. Let's see. The snake monster, Pythor. Back in Mighty Morphin, we had that one really weird monster, Pythor, that wasn't in the show. He wasn't in the Japanese version either. He's just this weird thing they made for the toys, and he never appeared anywhere else. Phantom Ranger, not the one you're thinking of. Phantom Ranger, during Dino Thunder, I think, they experimented with like a Build-A-Figure, and they called it Phantom Ranger. I don't know why, but it wasn't from the show. It was just this weird add-in thing in the toys. Let's see, the three extra Rangers of RPM. I think, let's see, that came from in Jungle Fury. They had the Spirit Rangers, and in RPM, they're going to have three extra Rangers added in later. I don't know if they actually would have, or if it would have just stuck with the toys, or whatever. Anyway, I think that would be a cool little thing for the hardcore fans to see, like these old toy exclusive characters get time in the comic. Let's see, what next? A story about Ryan Mitchell growing up with Diabolico. That's something that always fascinated me in Lightspeed Rescue was uh, Ryan doesn't really go too deep into his past. The same thing with Corone in Lost Galaxy, Power Rangers in Space. They grew up nearly their whole lives with these monsters being taught to be evil, but then once the Rangers show up, they immediately are like, okay, I'm a good guy now. And I always want to know more about, like, go deeper into what was it like growing up with the monsters. It's something the new She-Ra show did actually pretty good. The original She-Ra was similar because, let's see, Adora grows up with these monsters in the Horde, but then once He-Man shows up with the good guys, she, like, immediately turns and she's like, okay, I'm a good guy with these guys now. And there's almost never a reference to the fact that she was with the Horde. There's, like, maybe two or three. Whereas in the new show, it was a way bigger part of her character. And I'd like to see something kind of similar to that done with characters like Ryan or Corone. Okay, what do we got next? Ivan Ooze against the original canon Universe Rangers. This would be a neat thing. Work in the elements of the movie, but mm, like adapted to fit the actual show. Uh, like have the Rangers in the normal command center with the real. Of course, in the comics, this would probably be muddied because it'd be the comic book Rangers. But at the time, I didn't know how much the comic was going to deviate from the show. I thought it was going to be like just like the Paper Cuts comics, where they're kind of in the show. Although I was hoping it would have far better characterization than the Paper Cuts comics did. Anyway, Bulk, Skull, Phenomenus, Lieutenant Stone all together. Now, we did almost have this in the early comics, or those backup stories with Bulk and Skull and Lieutenant Stone, which were really weird. I didn't understand those. They were confusing. What else? The Psycho Rangers versus the SPD A Squad. Maybe it could happen. That actually could happen. The Psycho Rangers are pretty popular characters, and they seem to be realizing this. Like, outside of Mighty Morphin, they are very popular characters. And the SPD A Squad is getting some toys now in the Lightning Collection, so maybe something. Let's see. All the characters Kelson Henderson has played all together. Boom, Phineas, Norig, Banglo, Flit, Satbot, with cameos by his smaller roles. And he's had other big roles since then, like Mick, and I know he's in Beast Morphers, but I don't remember. Is he the Red Ranger's Beast Bot? I don't remember now. But anyway, yeah, all the characters Kelson Henderson all together. That would be kind of cool. I'm kind of disappointed they have never done that in any, like, the team-up specials. It'd be such a neat little thing just to have all of his characters come out. Maybe they don't have the suits for most of them. Who knows? Anyway, let's see. A sequel to Forever Red with undefeated villains returning to power, like Scorpina or Octoroo, and an opposing force of every Red Ranger. Now, we did have that one story in the annual where every Mighty Morphin Black Ranger showed up. Almost. And let's see, so, yeah. And I was a big enough nerd, I actually wrote down all the ones I could think of. Oh boy. Let's see. Rocco, the Red Wild Force Ranger. Let's see. Rocky would be in the Red Ninja suit alongside the movie's Rocky. TJ would be alongside the Red Robot Ranger of Turbo. Wes and Alex would both be there. Sky's father would be there. And all 5 SPD Rangers in Red. Jaden and Lauren's father would be there, along with 18 generations of Red Samurai Rangers. Huh. I must have been thinking of time travel or something at the time. Anyway. Team up of villains turned good. Ooh, this would actually be a pretty cool idea. Kind of like, the Thunderbolts or Suicide Squad, but with Power Ranger villains who've turned good. Let's see, I wrote down Rita, Zed, Divatox, Corone, Waspicable, Rancic, Nadira, Jindrax, Toxica, Mara, Capri, Elsa, Korag, Lianbo, Korag/Lianbo, Lily, Necroli, Matumbo, Daishi, Camille, Tanaya 7. Yeah. That would be really cool. Do that. Anybody watching this, do that story where a bunch of villains turned good, becoming their own team. Don't do it like Psychopath, though, because... Don't do it like Psychopath did. Let's see. A battle between, like, Rangers and villains they played. Oh, like Cole and Decker, or Zack versus Garak, or Cat versus Tesla, Delphine versus Hexiba, Wes versus the Construction Org, Kai versus General Venjix. All that would be really cool stuff that could happen. Anyway, this video's been going on kind of long. I guess I'll end it here. See ya.